Marvel villains. You gotta love them, right? They never get tired of appearing in movies out of nowhere, get beaten by the hero, refuse to elaborate, and then leave. That's like most villains in the MCU, but not everyone is cut from the same cloth. Marvel gets their villains right once in a while, like Star-Lord from Infinity War. What? He wasn't the villain in it, was he? Whatever. So we're taking a look at the elite group of supervillains who are an equal match for our superheroes. Here goes the top 10 Overpowered Marvel Villains Volume 2. While you're at it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Remember that time when we had a Mandarin who looked like this? Well, thankfully, Shang-Chi will get rid of that disturbing imagery. Marvel didn't use the real Mandarin in Iron Man 3, and instead they left the onus of stirring shit up on ALDRICH KILLIAN. A clever mastermind who was one step ahead of Tony till the moment Tony brought out his Christmas gift. ALDRICH KILLIAN not only fooled Tony by planting Maya Henson, blowing away Happy and capturing Pepper, but also rendered his suit useless. Tony had to befriend a young boy to survive the cold. Can you imagine? Being vulnerable and making friends? That must have been a nightmare for Tony. On top of his genius plans, Killian's also an explosive villain. Get it? Because his army explodes. Killian was just a man, but with the Extremist program, he landed some major blows on Tony, so we'll recognize him for his bravery.
Well, here we are, on the roof.
I'm not sure if you'd really like to call Nebula a villain after the Infinity War saga, but I'm thinking of the time when she was actually a villain, and boy, did she nail it. So Thanos had 2 adopted daughters, and just like every father, he had his favourite. Nebula was the second child and faced the cruel side of Thanos all her life. In order to prove herself in front of her father, Nebula did do some messed up things, like helping Ronan the Accuser in the Guardians of the Galaxy and betraying her sister the moment she got a chance. Once Gamora defected, Nebula was the only helper of Thanos and she carried out murders throughout the galaxy. It's so easy to see why Thanos would use Nebula as a weapon. She's a Lufomoid with cybernetic upgrades. She has superhuman durability, speed, and best of all, the regenerative factor. She knows no pain and is totally cruel. But it's her ability to project holographic memories that gave Thanos his massive advantage in Endgame.
Idiots! Well, that's what you get when Quill flies.
Marvel hyped the Taskmaster before the Black Widow movie way too much, didn't they? Taskmaster is a formidable villain in the comics. He only has one superpower, and that's enough to make him powerful. Taskmaster can practically mimic any kind of moves just by watching them. Captain America's javelin skills? Check. Hawkeye's archery skills? Check. Black Panther's scratches? Check. Send him to the Olympics and he'll fetch you all the gold medals. On top of that, he's an expert spy. He can fight like Natasha, he can jump like Falcon. The MCU Taskmaster did all of these, but as a she. Marvel ignored a lot of essential Taskmaster stuff and made her Dreykov's not-so-dead daughter who's drunk in vengeance and without any willpower of her own. The mindless killing machine did create a few troubles for Natasha, Elena and Alexei, but it's a redemptive arc at the end that stays. Hey, don't come at me for giving you spoilers. Black Widow's been available for a few weeks now, so it's really on you.
Mr. Doctor.
It's strange.
Maybe. Who am I to judge?
KAECILIUS might struggle to understand the name of Stephen Strange, but he won't mind porting your neck to other dimensions. Before turning into a villain, KAECILIUS was a nice little guy with a wife and family. After his wife died, he channeled all his focus on bending time itself to bring her back, and he had quite a resume for the task. Before Strange came along, he was the best student of the Ancient One. He was a master sorcerer who could manipulate eldritch magic, create portals, travel between dimensions, manipulate time and space in Dark Dimension, and practically achieved immortality there. So when you think of it, Doctor Strange had no business winning against a seasoned, uber-powerful sorcerer fueled by personal tragedy, but I guess he had the biggest power against KAECILIUS, the plot armor.
Your world and your family will be extinguished!
The villain that yielded an Infinity Stone, Malekith the Accursed, was a pretty respectable villain. Malekith was a dark elf who vowed to bring the universe where it started: darkness. He fought Thor's grandfather Bor during the Convergence and lost. He fought Bor's grandson Thor during the Convergence 5,000 years later and lost again. But don't let the past record of a serial loser make you think any less of him. He held Aether, aka the Reality Stone. Malekith had the strongest attributes of Dark Elves. He had superhuman strength, durability, a huge lifespan, and kick-ass regenerative power. When he controlled the Aether, he bent reality at his will. From energy, reality, matter, and size manipulation to teleportation, this dude was invincible. And for the record, Thor couldn't kill him. He was killed by his own ship. Now it's time for the villain that just refused to go away. Red Skull was a formidable villain, not just because of his scary ass face, it's because he was a Nazi all the way. Johann Schmidt was a Hitler follower, but his greed for the master race grew stronger, leading him to inject himself with the super soldier serum. The serum amplifies the behaviors already nascent in the human. For Captain America, it became strength, courage, and virtues, while for the Red Skull, it became strength, cruelty, and a mean face. Red Skull was super intelligent, having led Hydra in their heydays, but it was his search for Odin's Tesseract that really first showed us the power of Infinity Stones. Even after getting yeeted out of Earth, Red Skull continued his search in Vormir. The Vormir Red Skull we meet in the endgame isn't only immortal, but can also levitate and is omniscient. Jeez, who wouldn't want to see Captain America versus Red Skull 2.0? Now, if you think Malekith was scary in the Dark World, wait till you see this one. Aldgrim was a dark elf and the commander-in-chief of Malekith in their journey to destroy Asgard and regain the Aether. When the time came, Malekith stabbed Aldgrim with the Curse Stone, which turned him into a superpowered dark elf and became Kurse. What stood about Kurse was his steely reserve. He was a loyal friend and a ruthless warrior. After absorbing the entire stone, Kurse became one of the fiercest beings on Asgard. As Kurse, Aldgrim matched Malekith's powers and then some. He had superhuman durability and strength thanks to his Dark Elf origin. You'd need a black hole grenade to actually damage Kurse. He can even burn people with his touch, but most importantly, he killed Frigga, Bad Elf.
Ensure my brother does not return.
The Destroyer is Asgard's bodyguard. That should be enough to tell you how powerful this is, but let's not get into the details. Odin's vault, as shown in Ragnarok, consists of highly important stuff collected throughout the galaxy, and he needs someone to protect the vault that attracts the eyes of everyone. Destroyer skills are basically a long list of powers I needed in Logo toys as a child. It's a robot made from rare materials, it follows the command of the King of Asgard, it can reposition its body to fight any kind of weapon, it has the super powerful Odin Force Blast, and it's a giant. On top of that, the Destroyer is a veteran frost giant killer. We saw the Destroyer in the first Thor movie where the combined efforts of Lady Sif and the Warriors couldn't even make a dent on it, and he bitch-slapped Thor to near death. If it wasn't because of Odin, Thor would have died right there. Regardless of how it ended, the Destroyer in the comics can do some serious damage.
A little something like
Your powers are quaint. You must be popular with children.
Now, there's something about able lieutenants of supervillains. They seem to possess an understated set of powers that make them deadly in solo battles. We have Ebony Maw, the leader of the elite group of soldiers picked by Thanos himself. Maw was the only ally who never disappointed Thanos, which in the world of Gamoras and Nebulas is apparently an achievement itself. Ebony Maw is a master tactician, a super intelligent being, but his muscles are as big as his brain. He has the power of telekinesis. He can manipulate objects however he wants and totally overpowered 2 Sherlock Holmes in New York. He's a sorcerer himself, knowing how to use the Eye of Agamotto, stopping Strange's cloak and gagging Thor. And as if that wasn't enough, Ebony Maw can fly and can slice apart objects at will. One flick of his finger and his enemies are dead. Dude doesn't even need to fight. It's totally different than Maw was killed by Iron Man twice. Thanos' right-hand guy is worthy of the responsibilities. So we're pretty much venturing into X-Men because why not? The MCU's now like a big, happy family. So Apocalypse, formidable villain in a forgettable film. Sums up the X-Men series now, doesn't it? Anyway, Apocalypse started strong with a scary cameo in Days of Future Past, but his powers were on full display in his film. Apocalypse is as ancient as civilizations on Earth. He was born as the first ever mutant En Sabah Nur. He was raised in the belief that only the strong should rule, a belief that he followed all throughout centuries, bringing about destruction to civilizations. In the comics, En Sabah Nur was trained by the Titans, and he had a couple of powers like superhuman strength, durability, speed, flight, energy, matter and size manipulations, teleportation, telekinesis, and invulnerability. You know, just a couple of powers, so no biggie. If you got lost in there, here's a TLDR. Apocalypse is practically an old god and he's more powerful than Thanos. The movie did show the likes of Magneto, Charles Xavier, Quicksilver, Jean Grey, Storm, Mystique, and Cyclops finding it hard to get going against him, but we're all still waiting for the day when Apocalypse will get his true power.
Is revealed.
Supervillains are often used to make our heroes look good, but some of them really take their job seriously. When you look closely, you'll find most villains are actually more powerful than their counterparts, have more redeemable qualities, and can be straight up badass in most cases. So who do you think is the most overpowered villain in the MCU? Did we miss anyone? Perhaps from a little series called Loki? Comment below. Please consider contributing to my Patreon and also like the video, share it with friends, and make sure to subscribe to the TV Regent.